In the second video, we'll give an overview of all the tools that constitute FPS. First, we log in with the temporary password, and we are in the FPS Launchpad, where we see the Hello World project that we already created. Now let's change the username first, so that we, from the drop-down menu, call Edit Profile. It's a separate application where we can change username. We can change the image from that to something else, and we can change the password from the temporary, for example, to something permanent. Let's change the username. Let's say user X. Leave the image and change the password. Old password, new password. We tap it in twice, click change. Okay, now we can close this application. Let's do refresh. Now it shows username as user X. So let's see again, on this page we have the Hello World project. On this tab we have a list of all the projects that were created by all the users and were published. On this tab, General Support Forum. Now, the first project we created manually. Now I want to use another option, which is described here, and is duplicating an existing project, public project. So let's say we want to duplicate a project calculator. So for this we click the duplicate action, and you see a new icon here, which is notifications. We click it and see a notification that the project has been duplicated. Okay, get rid of the notification. Now when we switch back to the Home tab, we see a new project called also calculator. We can open it because it's our own copy of the calculator project. And now in the project builder we see a condensed source of the project. See, for each applet, for example, we have only opening and closing tag, and this small icon here. When you click it, you see the full source of the applet. As you see, the source is syntax highlighted. Tags attributes and attribute values are in different colors. There are also Fabula expressions in those special brackets. They are in a slightly different color. And now let's see the structure of a Fabula library. You see some comments here. They are just in XML format, like everything here. Then there's a type definition, which is simply an enumeration of 4 options: plus, minus, multiply, and divide. Then there are 2 channels, input and command. Input is just a string. Input is what applets receive from so-called white buttons in calculator. Command can be an operator, which we declared before, and also command can be clear, to clear to 0 the content of the display. And display command is what the equal button does. Just displays the current result. Then there is comment section, which defines constant xlen equal 15, and also has unwrap statements, which make global constants defined in the global universal object core available without qualification. And then there are applets. Each applet has its individual name. Now let's briefly talk about them. An applet has a few elements that are optional. For example, view is what is displayed inside each instance of the applet. And also the view declaration lists are the applets used by this one, if any. For example, calculate display, play button, and so on. And it also assigns a name to each of them, so that it can be used inside the view expression. Now, when we expand the view, we see a text expression, which is basically some HTML code that is displayed inside calculator. And if you are familiar with HTML, it's basically a table with some rows and some cells inside those rows, and each cell is, for example, the display of the calculator or a button. Each of them has a name declared here. And now let's see what those other applets are. For example, clear button. It also has view, which is a button, and we use some bootstrap classes here to make it look better. It contains letter C, and also it is capable of processing events. I mean click event, and clicking this button sends a command clear to channel command. All the buttons are similar, and the most interesting is the last applet, which is calculator display. It has also state, which consists of several properties, like input, for example. It's the string that was input by the user. There is a current result, just a number, and the current operator, which uses the type we defined before, and possibly there's no current operator, so this is a variant type, which is one of two properties, operator or none, if none was chosen yet. Then there's a view. View just computes the HTML code of the display from the current state. And there's also init section, which creates the default state, which is no input, and the result is 0, and operation is none. And the last section is receive, which receives the data from the channel's input and command, and makes calculates new state from this input or command. The calculation is based on using calculation block. Calculate expression where, and then some statements that define variables, and the variables then are substituted into the expression. The same thing for a command. So we calculate a new state in here, and it's converted in some visual representation, which is a div block. And now let's see what it looks like. Here we go. That's the calculator.